Merry Christmas, everybody, and after two bad Christmas movies starring two professional wrestlers, you might think you're in for a third one, but we're actually going to do an actual good Christmas movie. How about that? As today we're going to look at Arthur Christmas, released in 2011. So Arthur Christmas is a computer-animated Christmas science fantasy comedy film, that's a mouthful, directed by Sarah Smith in her directorial debut and co-directed by Barry Cook, who is best known for co-directing Disney's Mulan. And this film also featured a stellar all-star voice cast including James McAvoy, Hugh Laurie, Bill Nighy, Jim Broadbent, Imelda Staunton, Ashley Jensen, Mark Woolton, Laura Linney, Eva Longoria, Ramona Marquez, Michael Palin, and Jerry Lambert. It's also worth mentioning that the animation was co-produced by Sony Picture Animation as well as Aardman Animation, who is best known for doing Shaun the Sheep, Wallace and Gromit, and the film Chicken Run. The film centers around a modern-day Santa Claus who delivers presents in a little different of a way, using New Age technology. The system is run by his son Steve, and it is nearly flawless, nearly as they accidentally don't deliver one present. And the only one that seems to care is Santa's youngest son, Arthur, who sets out on a mission to deliver that present. The film had a budget of about $100 million and made back about $147 million at the box office. The film also got positive reviews from critics as well as audiences. But was Arthur able to save Christmas, or did that kid go without a present? Well, we're going to find out right now as we review Arthur Christmas, released in 2011. So our film begins with explaining the history of Santa Claus. Instead of a single individual, it's actually passed down through family of Claus generations, and they're currently on Santa Claus number 20. The current Santa's name is Malcolm Claus, and he's heading into his 70th year as Kris Kringle. Turns out Santa's mostly a figurehead now, though, as Christmas is now a high-tech operation done by elves, coordinated by his oldest son, Steve. We also meet Santa's clumsy youngest son, Arthur, who seems to be disliked by most of the elves, and also Steve. During the operation, Santa is almost seen by a child, and while one elf is shocked by this, he accidentally presses a button, which knocks a toy off the track, meaning it won't be delivered. As shown, when Santa's returned from his mission, Arthur's also largely ignored by his father, but he keeps up his Christmas spirit nonetheless. At his post-Christmas address, Santa is expected to announce his retirement, but he says nope, coming back for year 71, much to the shock and disappointment of Steve. That night they attempt to play a board game that Arthur bought alongside Grand Santa, who was a Santa before Malcolm. While this is going on, the missing present is discovered by a wrapping division elf named Bronny. She brings the present to Steve, and Arthur naturally freaks out, knowing that one kid won't get Christmas. He's also shocked when Santa agrees with Steve that there's pretty much nothing that they can do, as they won't be able to deliver the present in time. They can't take the new sleigh out again over fear of damaging it, but luckily Grand Santa has a grand idea, the old sleigh that he used to fly back in the day. And he also happens to have some new reindeer who are descendants of the original reindeer. So Arthur sets off with Grand Santa and Grand Santa's old reindeer, which oddly enough is never given an actual name. And turns out Bronny's there too, as she's stowed away in the sleigh. Of course, Grand Santa hasn't flown in a while, and there's some complications, like as they fly for Toronto and almost get themselves killed. They then end up in Utah, where an old man mistakes them for aliens and shoots at them before they get away. Their destination is Trelew, Cornwall, England, by the way, and where they've landed now doesn't quite look like England. It's not, it's a wildlife reserve in Africa, where they're attacked by lions. They're able to get away from the lions, but they lose a couple reindeer, so Arthur sprinkles some magic dust so the reindeer can fly, and ends up making the whole wildlife park fly. After using Bronny's GPS, they arrive in Trelew, where this young girl, whose name is Gwen, can finally get her present, which by the way is a bike. However, upon arriving at her house, he discovers that there's already a bike there, and then they discover they're in the wrong Trelew. They're actually in Trelew, Mexico. Grand Santa then begins freaking out because he reveals the last time he flew it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis and he almost started World War III, so that's not great. They're able to escape Trelew and they phone Steve for help, and Steve refuses, just telling them to come home. Arthur's spirit is also broken when he realizes that Santa doesn't actually care and he's just asleep in his bed. They crash land in Cuba and Grand Santa is apologetic, but Arthur's spirit is seemingly completely broken. Arthur then realizes though Santa doesn't necessarily have to deliver the present, it just has to get delivered and Gwen will think it's Santa, so they get in the boat and try to row all the way to Trelew. This won't work out, however, as they only have 36 minutes, but Grand Santa realizes that the reindeer are just going to pull the sleigh around and around the Earth, so it'll circle back here pretty soon. Arthur's afraid of heights, but using the power of worry, as Grand Santa and Bronny tell him about Gwen possibly missing her present, he's able to latch onto the sleigh. Meanwhile, back at the North Pole, Santa has discovered Arthur's Christmas room and realizes that he should maybe care a little bit more, so he tries to take the big sleigh out. He doesn't know quite how to fly it though, so Steve reluctantly helps him. The elves then see them leave and all freak out, thinking that they've abandoned Christmas. Meanwhile, back on the old sleigh, in order to find Trelue, Grand Santa takes them into orbit, and they find it by looking out on the Earth. While descending back into the atmosphere, however, they lose the rest of the reindeer, but Grand Santa's old reindeer takes over the reins. There's another problem though, as some fighter jets are right on their tail as they think they're aliens and they're going to shoot them out of the sky. And they do just that, destroying the old sleigh just as everyone on board escapes. Meanwhile, Steve and Santa have arrived in Trelue, Mexico, where he tries to give a kid a bike until realizing that he's not Gwen, and then tries to take the bike back, showing that he doesn't really have much of a connection with children. Arthur, Bronny, and Grand Santa have landed in the right Trelue, however, and Arthur hurries down riding the bike to deliver it in time. He gets to Gwen's house just as the sky is coming up, but Steve arrives at the same time and uses a new sleigh to block it out. They all enter the house and Grand Santa and Steve bicker over who's going to deliver the present, but Santa decides that it should be Arthur. They all watch from the closet as Gwen opens the bike, and seeing Arthur's enthusiasm, Santa realizes that he is the best fit to be the next Santa. And while Steve is heartbroken, he reluctantly agrees to this as well. They all get pulled up into the sleigh, but Arthur falls into the snow momentarily just as Gwen comes outside to play with her new bike. She then sees Arthur with his chest puffed out and of a white snow beard, believing him to be Santa. And then we get an epilogue. Steve gains a new title of Executive COO of North Pole Operations. Malcolm Santa retires with Grand Santa and they spend their time playing Christmas the board game, while also Malcolm and his wife, Mrs. Claus, take up salsa dancing. Bronny is promoted to Vice President of the Rapping Pacific Division, and one day she plans to rap the moon. The new reindeer all made it back to the North Pole safely as they have a natural compass, and they'll all lead the new sleigh team, which of course will be pulled by the 21st Santa Claus, Arthur Christmas. Well, gosh darn it, it took us the whole month, but we finally got a good Christmas film. No more Miz, no more Hulk Hogan, no more Santa with muscles, no more Santa's Little Helper. Just a good, wholesome Christmas film. And it's a UK film as well, so it fits in well to, the theme of my other channel. As for the film itself, it was somehow not unique, but also unique at the same time. It wasn't unique in the sense that, it's a typical Christmas story, setting out to save Christmas and all that. It was unique in which the way they presented it. The New Age Santa passed down, and as technology evolves, they use new ways, but also showing that the old way can still be good, which is kind of not unique, but kind of is. I don't think it really matters in the end. What matters is that it was a good Christmas story, and it absolutely was. This also was not a channel points request, which is a little surprising since most things on this channel are. This is something I wanted to do because I had never seen it all the way through, and I'm very happy with watching it for the first time. And if you're wondering if this should be on your Christmas list, absolutely. I think this could be a Christmas staple for me going forward personally, and it could be for you as well. As far as I know, there's never been any realistic talk about a sequel, and I don't necessarily think there needs to be, but who knows? I'm sure they could make it great. With that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do with my review of Arthur Christmas. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to leave it a like. If you want to follow any of my social media links, they're all in the video description down below. Thank you to all my patrons currently named in the video description as well for supporting me and all my channels. I appreciate you guys. With all that being said, though, my name's Noah Taff. This has been my review of Arthur Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you next year, actually. Bye.